Hey y'all, it's Moonlight Cowboy. Today I present a compilation video of tricks that I've picked up since the update. And so it says for advanced users on the thumbnail, and there's a reason for that. I've been getting a lot of comments lately of things like, oh, well, we can do anything now. We can free place anything. So, like, I don't need your tutorials. And I'm like, that's cool. My tutorials were always meant for those who actually wanted the help or learn how to do stuff, and that's what I bring today. So this will apply still for some of the newer builders out there because there's some pretty easy stuff that most of us know how to do. But then there's some things that I figured out along the way, such as how to place foundations anywhere, even though that we can no longer use the camp module trick to place items, or if we're trying to combat the item not visible glitch or those kind of things. Then if you've had those struggles, then I believe that this tutorial will be just what you're looking for. So hopefully you'll find this helpful. Again, this is more geared towards those advanced builders, but really anybody could watch this. And maybe you figured out some of these. Some of these are not new. Some of them are very new. So here we go. So first one, and this is to place an item on a pre-existing shelf. Now, if we have a shelf that's in the game, especially one like this one where it has a pre-existing roof, where everything's just going to jump up to the roof if I try and place it too close to that roof. So as you saw, I went ahead and merged a little light inside of this thing that I want to put on the shelf. And I could put it on the bottom shelf no problem by doing free place, but I wouldn't be able to get something on the top shelf. So what I'm doing is I use the pressure plate to merge that light in, and I'm using the camp device, which everybody should know how to do this, to raise it up. And again, the reason for that, if I tried to just free place that on the top shelf, it's going to jump up to the top of the pre-existing roof, and I may never see it again. So I'm just making sure the height is correct. And the reason for that is once I get this thing into place, it's going to permanently be there unless I can glitch myself into a way to go grab it, because I won't be able to grab it. It's going to be inside of that cabinet, and it won't allow me to, it won't turn green for me, or blue. Everybody says blue, but I see green. Maybe I'm colorblind. So as you see there, I've got it. I just got to get it a little bit closer. So I'm just making some like micro adjustments. I'm going to take that, merge it down a couple more times just to get the right height on this thing. And that looks really good to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it like so. And remember, my truck here is the anchor. So now I'm using a free place, and because the truck is lower down than the item above it, like it's not going to jump up to the roof. And now I have that really cool lit look inside of this kind of wonky shelf. So now we have, look how that item is. It is just gravitating over to that wall. It looks hideous, okay? So speaking of old tricks that we are now going to use, because I want that thing to actually sit on the wall, is I'm just going to blueprint that wall item with a small camp decor item like we used to back in the day for like the reverse TV look. And I can just blueprint this thing into that wall essentially. Now, once it goes into this wall, I'm not going to be able to remove it. Very similarly to the item we just saw previously. I'm just going to make sure it's like perfectly straight before I place it. But yeah, so when you're doing one of these free place or blueprint to get something and force it into a place that you can't normally place something in that's pre-existing, oftentimes that means you won't be able to get it out. At least not very easily. There are ways that you can glitch your way into something where you can get it out. I'll kind of show you some examples of that later in this video. So yeah, see, I can't grab it even though I'm in edit mode. It won't let me grab it, but at least it's there, right? So it looks way better than it did. So this one's easy. We can use like mats or other items to kind of move things into pre-existing obstructions. And part of this is because of the anchor. It's going off of the physics of the anchor more so than it's going off the physics of the thing that's being inserted into the item. So in these cases, if I'd have just tried to free place those in there, they would have jumped up onto the rocks. But with these rugs in place, they're not going to jump up on the rugs. Now, now you're like, well, what do I do about these rugs? They're hideous. Well, you can cover them up with another rug. You could do a foundation merge with them, so that way they're sticking into the, so there's plenty of ways you can hide those mats. Again, this is more for advanced builders, because an advanced builder is going to look at this and say, oh yeah, I could just hide that with this, or I could do that, right? And we'll actually cover that a little bit later on some ways that we can hide things. But anyway, see, I was able to do the same thing with the bed there. Now this one's pretty self-explanatory. We can snap items through pre-existing obstacles like that. I wanted to cover up that door up there. You can also, like, I like that little house. I know you saw it very briefly. See that little house? See how I'm trying to get a light to go behind it? It wouldn't let me place it before because, of course, it says the item's not visible. It's still not letting me place it. So what I need to do is I'm just going to adjust that light a little bit. So that way I can get behind that pre-existing little decor item there. And yeah, after a couple of little adjustments here, should be able to get it into place behind here. Now this item's going to jump out just a little bit, but there we go. Doesn't mean it's going to stay that way, but you can do that with many of the pre-existing items in the game. Now with countertops, another thing I like to do here is, like in this build, which I don't know if I'll have released by the time of this video, is I'm creating a big countertop to like cover up a space that I think looks hideous for what I'm trying to do. If I was a scrappy builder, it would probably look amazing. So again, this is a structure where it has a pre-existing roof, and if I try and do something too wonky, it's going to try and shoot the thing up into the roof. So rather, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and merge the thing down and snap it into place. Now, I think we're seeing a theme here. When it's snappable, it's going to hold the other item into place. You can snap things through a lot of things. As long as the snapped item is the visible part, you can snap other things through it. Now that table it wasn't far enough in for me to be able to do what I wanted to do, which was cover up. There was like a little space there. So I can also then use a mat or other object to then extend that out and then do the same merge again. And we'll do that in fast mode. Pretty easy. And now I snapped it into place, and I have this big long counter that I can use that I covered up that part of that desk. I end up covering more of that, but that's coming in another build tutorial, so I don't need to show you all that. Okay, so this one is also pretty easy. We are going to snap something through the ground, and the way we're going to do that is we're just going to find a hill or another part that is a little bit lower. If you don't have a lower part, you could go from underground and kind of merge it up through the ground using another item. I'll show you how that technique works later on with trying to float something out from the ground with the new technique. But as you see here, what I'm doing is with these things, they're snappable. And again, because they're snappable, I'm able to just kind of get them over. In reality, I'm not going to use all of them. I just want to get them over to this part over here. And then what we will do, now if you notice, what will happen is if you've ever tried to snap something like these hedges and you remove like the anchor hedge, they all go away. The way to get around that is just to destroy the one beforehand and then place it and then just remove the destroyed one, and it should stay in place. I'll do it again. So look, I destroyed it. Normally, because it's not sitting on the ground, this one that I just snapped it to, that I just deleted, would have been the anchor one, and it would have gone away. And now we can get those into place, no problem. Now another way we can snap items through is just with our foundations themselves. That one's super easy. You just snap a foundation to where you want it to be, and the other item should go through as long as the foundation is still doesn't have that item not visible glitch thing that we still have to deal with. So this one's pretty easy too. Everybody should know how to do foundation merging by now, at least the advanced builders. You just kind of drag it down by looking in that corner, and now I was able to get this thing down in a little bit lower so it looks less like the traditional hot tub from Vault-Tec. Another thing we can do is, as we know with the item not visible glitch, you can't even place items inside of your own items typically, so the trick behind that is to just break those items, and then you can place items inside of it, because technically they're visible to you because the item has been broken. So even though it's yellow when you're in build mode, the physics says that you can see it again because it is broken. So I know I say all that to say all you have to do is break the item, and then you can start placing other items inside of it. As I do here with this hot tub, because I don't want it to look like a hot tub because it's me. So I'd rather just start breaking a whole lot of rocks around there and make it kind of look like a rock garden / like little pool in there. Something maybe more along the Japanese style. I don't know. I just didn't want it to look like a blue hot tub, and I thought the rocks were a great way to cover it. And as we see, I just keep getting through these rocks, and I'm using that yellow line too. It's nice because I can see if it's kind of the rocks are protruding through it, and I'm covering it up correctly. I'm going to do a couple more, and we'll speed through this because I think you probably get it at this point. One thing I usually do is, when I'm doing a camp build, is I'll eventually hide my camp module, but I don't do it until I've repaired everything, because some of these will be hard to get to when the build's all said and done. And I'm placing my last one, and true to form, I will go run over to where I know I kept my camp module. By the way, in chat, I would love for you guys, or chat in the comments, I would love for you guys to tell me who here has lost their camp module while building a camp before. I have lost mine several times. So I hope I'm not alone in that. But yeah, see, that came out really nice. Upper floor merging. So again, for advanced builders, because the common builder would be like, well, Moon, I could just place things in anything. I don't need to know how to do this. Well, that's actually not true, because the upper floors, you can't just place things inside of them, because the smaller items will say item not visible. Now, yes, if you wanted to put a generator and kind of put it through the floor, that's fine, but with these smaller items, you wouldn't be able to. And I want this is actually going to be kind of like the canopy for this bed. So I want to have it illuminated. So what I'm going to do is I added all those little lights to it, and I'm going to snap a foundation. Now, I'm going to turn off snapping. I said snapping weird. I'm going to turn it to free place. I'm going to raise it up slightly, and I'm going to place it. Then I'm going to turn back on snapping, and I'm going to place it again, and it snaps down. And look, all of those items are now tucked in safely inside of that floor, and then I can just safely move this floor with those items into here where I already have something placed so I could snap it in. And now I've got those lights in there, and I think that looks pretty cool. I make some adjustments later on, but for what I did there, I think that came out all right. A little something different, right? But yeah, so that is something you can do in a position like this. Now, this one is really easy. It's not even a trick, but it's just something I started doing. I love the curtains that I use for the bathtub thing, but I want to do something different now. And I'm really liking using these glass doors as like showers or like containment for a bathtub. And really I can just free place them. Now, if you notice with that first door, I placed it and then opened it. That's because it wasn't going to just place into the rock. It was going to try and jump up on me. So rather I placed it when it was closed, and then I opened it, and then it just went into the rock organically without an issue. And then you can just kind of place them on top of each other. Again, this one's on the simple side, but it's more to give you guys some ideas, because this could work for, maybe it's not a bathroom, maybe it's you want to use this as like a railing, or maybe you want to make a wall out of it. This is a good idea using these doors. They're really cool, and they give it a custom look. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And now I can even get into the bath if I want to. I end up making adjustments for the doors, so that way it looks a little bit more organic. Now, easy placement for the pocket doors. Who here has tried to place these doors, and then always on one side there's a light gap? What you want to do is you place a door, and then you just rotate it. You just rotate it on its axis once you change it over to the pocket doors. You don't move at all. You just turn it to rotation. And as long as it's centered from rotation, you'll never have to worry about those light gaps on the side ever again. I just kind of stumbled on that, and I was really proud of myself. All right, so this one's an easy one for anybody. I like to make my rugs look custom sized. So in order to do that, oftentimes I'll raise my foundations on the outside just a little bit. Like nobody that like came to my build would notice that these foundations are going to be just slightly higher than the ones inside, especially with my walls in place and such. Nobody's going to be able to tell whatsoever. To them, it's going to look like it just goes from inside to outside, but see, it's just enough where that's going to cover up a rug, or it could be an upper floor. You know, we like to use those as rugs too sometimes, right? So case in point, we have a rug right here. I'm going to go ahead and place it, and then I'm just going to kind of tuck it back into underneath that couch, because if I just left it here, it would look obnoxious, right? But I want to give a little space between the rug that's over there by the sink. And then I can always make that a little straighter, or I can move that back, but you can see it's not poking out the side there. So yeah, quick way to make a custom rug. This is another one that I think a lot of people should already know, but this is for cantilever support. Essentially what you're going to do, for me, I'm using catwalks. You could have used like upper floors to snap things in. Catwalks aren't necessary anymore completely. I still love to use them though. Maybe it's force of habit. But as you see, I snapped a half wall off from so I have that porch that I'm making. I have my half wall, which I snapped to a catwalk, and then another half wall. And then I'm snapping an angled roof down, and then another one, okay? So then I know that they're perfectly aligned with my upper porch, or my porch. There's only one porch, upper and lower porch, I could say. Then I'm going to go ahead and flatten that. And then I'm going to add another roof right there. Now, this is kind of a guessing game, so sometimes it'll happen like that, where, that's not the angle we wanted it to go. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Let's try it again. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage. And let's see if I got lucky this time. Got it going the right way. And I do. So this did two things. It covered up an area where I might not have wanted to wall it in down there. But also now I have support. It's not just a wall, like some kind of floor with no support jutting out. Like nobody wants to walk on that. They don't feel as secure. This looks more secure, and it looks more reasonable. Okay, so here's another one. So speaking of snapping roofs, we'll stay on that same vein, and I want to snap roofs through this pre-existing structure, because for my clean build, I feel like the roofs are going to look, the ones inside, they look a little too ratty for me. They're probably great for a scrappy builder, but as you can see, look, item not visible. That is the biggest curse for us advanced builders right now. So easy way around this is to just angle that up and then start angling them in. And now look, I can snap them in no problem because the majority of the roof is within view. Getting around some of the pre-existing stuff can be a little tedious, but as long as the roofs are mostly in view, you should be fine. And look, I was able to flatten it in, no problem, and I'm able to cover up that roof. And it's not really taking up a lot of real estate in there, and it's not really a big budget drain either, because I think I use about 7 roofs to do this inside. But anyways, we'll do the whole thing just for funsies. You can do something similar to this with your upper floors, as long as they're visible. Like I end up putting upper floors on this thing, but that will also come into that build tutorial that may or may not have been released at this point. I sometimes release my videos on whim rather than chronological order. And we flatten this, and I think it looks really great from the inside. Now this next part is super important, and I think all the advanced builders are going to want to see this. So this is how to snap floors through virtually anything, okay? So as you can see, I want to snap this floor underneath this pre-existing floor. Of course, it's not going to let me. I tried going underground, and it still would not let me place it where I needed to go. This one was just really a pain in the butt to do. And so I had to figure out, because I was going to get this floor in come hell or high water. Although when I was done with this build, I didn't end up keeping it. I still wanted to beat it. It was like a puzzle. I wanted to solve it. So anyways, so I'm just going to go ahead and just clear my space a little bit to do this. Now, you don't have to do that. I was figuring this out. As you see, I'm still struggling. So I cleared out some foundations out of the way just for my own sake and sanity. Now watch. So I'm going to get this thing as close to the other foundation as possible. As you can see, I'm just getting it there, and I'm free placing it that way, okay? I'm going to keep, like, just trying to get it a little bit closer, okay? And then when I get it as close as I think I can to this thing, I'm going to change up my strategy. So right now I'm on collide. You don't have to be on collide to do this. I'll show it to you in a better example here in a minute. But watch. I can get it a little bit lower. There. Look at that. So that's perfect. Now watch. I'm going to pick this thing up, and I'm going to just change it from free to snap. And I'm going to let it go, and it'll snap right in. I'm going to do it over here real quick, too, in the bathroom. Because, like, in all honesty, that was the very first time I figured that out, and I was so darn impressed with myself. I'm like, well, I'm stuck here in the bathroom, too. Let's see if I can do it even easier, right? So this one will be even easier to show you. So I'm going to free place this one as best as I can. As you see, the problem for me is the item's not visible because it's too, there's all those walls in the way, so all I have to do is move my body a little bit to get it closer. So now I can place it there, but that's still way too far away from the other floor, right? So I'm going to have to try and edge this in closer. Still not going to snap, right? There. Now I can see the part of the foundation it wants me to. And now I should be almost close enough. Watch this. I'm going to switch it to snap, and it snapped right in. You can do this for most spots where you're stuck. Another example of this, rather than changing it, just to show you how the physics work, I got stuck here because I wanted to get a foundation into this area back here behind this bridge that I'm working on. Now, pardon because it's a little dark in here, but I'll show you. So there's a foundation right there that I want to snap a foundation to that's like coming towards me. And the same rules apply. This time I didn't need to do the snap to switch over from free place to snap. I just needed to get it as close as I possibly could. And this is how the physics work. See, I wanted to over encompass the foundation right there. I just need to get it as close to snapping with that foundation as possible. And if I can get it a little bit closer, it'll just snap to, watch this. See, look, it changed directions and it snapped perfectly in place. And now I don't have any holes poking through. So that's how the physics works with it for anybody who was curious. Now this one's going to be way easier. This is more for anybody to use if you want to feature floors. So for example, these floors in this camp are like off kilter a little bit, so that way I have a little edge on each side. So I was just able to run some upper floors through by going outside and kind of lowering like one of the upper floors to about the level I wanted it to be at. So that way it doesn't come through and flicker, and then I can just change that floor design to whatever I want. This one is a super easy trick, but if you've noticed, foundations, we can free place them inside of each other, but getting them to snap through each other has been a real pain to do. So this is the workaround for me when I want to do something like this. I just use the upper floors. We'll look at this kitchen more here in a second too, by the way. Okay, so adding a wall to a pre-existing wall. Look at this. This is turning red. That is because item is not visible. That seems to be the theme of the video. So how do I get around that? Well, contrary to popular belief, walls do have different thicknesses, and sometimes we can find walls that have components to them that make them a little thicker, such as the pit wall set, or the responder set, or even the Order of Mysteries, the black brick set. Those can all be options here. Because I can now see enough of it to be visible on the one side, I was able to snap those in no problem. And then I can just go ahead and wallpaper them or do whatever it is that I want to do. And I could double wall this too. In fact, on this build, I do, in fact, double wall most of this build. And that's how you can get your walls to snap through. You just need a certain set of walls that you can see that are on the thicker side. Now this one's a little trickier. I've done this in the past before the update. It actually became a little harder since the update to create these conduit stairs. So I'm going to walk you through real quick how I do this. Because the method has changed slightly. So first, we got we got the stands of the height differential between each rung on that ladder, right? I think that's a good height difference. I'm going to get my first one into place. I'm also going to destroy these anything that's in the way of it, so that way I don't run into issues where it's trying to snap or it jumps to the top of that post that I had it there. Now if you notice, what I'm doing is, this is a good spot to use collide. So what I did there was I used collide instead of snap, and I was able to just drag it down to the next spot. Then I turn it back onto snap to snap my next rung into place. See, that snapped in no problem. When I remove that, the other one will go away. Now I'm going to snap one into place. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to change it to collide, and then I can just move it down. For me, it's double tap X, and then I can just use my joystick to move it down. For you PC users, it's probably your mouse wheel. It could also be your arrow key too. I don't know. And then we could just keep going down that same methodology. I'm going to snap, go to collide, move it down to the next table, and I'm just going to keep snapping through. Now I only have to do this about 5 times in order to get the ladder to the height that I want it to. I've done it much higher than that in the past. And now I can repair that, and hopefully I have my rungs in where I need them to be. Unfortunately, I don't. Now sometimes what will happen here too is that they'll be attached to the wrong post. So the good news is that they're the height that I want them to be at, and they're all perfectly level right now. So if I slide them over very carefully, then I don't have to worry about it too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this post, the one that they're all kind of attached to, here in a second. I'm going to move that over in just a second here. Watch. So move that. That way I have space for the rungs to not poke out on the one side. And then I can just slide them over a little bit. They're still going to be just about perfect. But of course, if you're a better planner than I am, you don't have to worry about this. You could have just had them in place where they should have been in the first place by probably breaking that other post. But anyways, that's how you get your rung ladder back. It's a little bit trickier than it was before. It takes a little longer, but it's still good. Now, everything else is going to be underground. So getting underground for me has gotten easier. I do this method now, which is just a foundation merge. I slap random interactable item on top of one of those the enclave medallions, and then I just kind of move my foundation wherever I want. I think this is way easier than the other method in the first place, so I'm pretty pleased with myself that I kind of figured it out back when this update first happened. Now I'm going to show you something else. This is how to break into like if you have a pre-existing roof, bridge, overhang, cliff, whatever, anything that's overhead, we can do this. So what I did was I added that cooking station. I moved that table over a little bit because sometimes it's good to have like a landing pad up there, depending on your situation. I just do that out of habit. The other reason why is because sometimes you need to get a little closer. Like, see, those rocks are in my way. So I had to get like that top table to be a little bit closer to where that top of that roof comes down. So now I can get into that roof no problem. Now, since we're up there, might as well place some light. So I love the light that this asylum light gives, but I hate the way that it looks in most cases. So rather, I want that light because it's a nice focused light. It's not like one that just broadcasts light everywhere. It has like a beam that goes down, and I can go into that roof and watch. You can't see the light anymore, but you can see the you can get the light that it gives, which is fantastic. Now, we've all had this happen, those of us who have built underground. We have walls that just keep wanting to snap up. Even when we place it and then we try and move it up, it's still going to give us a problem. You can do this with a few different tricks, but I'm going to do it with the foundations here. You can do this with catwalks. You can do this with, you can do this with upper floors as well. And I'm just going to snap a foundation down to that bottom wall. I could have also if I wanted to start my build this way, I could have also done that and just had the foundation come through, like that as well. But there, I was able to get my stubborn wall in. Now, what about getting items inside of pre-existing items? Like, I want to get the light inside of this trash can. Well, you can't place it there normally because it's going to say that the item is not visible. So what we have to do is we go underground. I use the camp device to position this on top of a mat, and because I placed that mat in such a way that it's not going to snap to the top, I can just kind of play with this a little bit and get it to where it's going to go inside of this trash can. 1 second. There we go. That should be good. And now that light is going to be inside of that trash can. And the nice part about this too is I could always take that light back out of it if I wanted to by going out and retrieving that mat. Okay, so I still use this Blue Ridge caravan set trick for stubborn walls that won't go into place. Right here, I'm trying to get this half wall in. It's not letting me. You can see that I'm doing my best to get it to snap into place, and it just won't. Even there, it was red. So here, I was still able to get in my archway. And then I can just take that archway, change it over to the Blue Ridge set, and then in the Blue Ridge set, you can swap it again, and you can get a half wall out of that. Sometimes you just can't get a wall into place. Like right there, I wasn't going to be able to get a regular wall in place. See? You can see, and I had to move my camera around until it just got in there just right, and then I could change it over, right? So I do still use this, like I said, for these really precarious situations where the wall it'll try and snap in, but it'll say not visible. And again, all I got to do is modify that over to the Blue Ridge set, and then change that. That should change it into a half wall, or the option for other half walls, you might have to shift it over from left to right to get that to work. But it is a great trick still if you are struggling to get a wall into a pre-existing structure or location. Okay, placing foundations when item not visible. We've already touched on this with the snapping point way. The other way to do this is by making the item visible. Somebody asked me a while back, like, well, how do you get around this? I'm like, by making the item visible, and then I got a bunch of question marks, right? So the trick here is I'm up in the roof right there. You can't see my body, but I was up in the roof, and I was able to place it because from there the item was visible. See? I can see up there. Similarly to what we did with the light. And that's it. That was 25 tricks that advanced builders can use to place foundations or put things where they don't belong. I was actually going to name this video how to put things where they don't belong, but I figured it would get flagged by the community as being a little suggestive. So, and it might have been intentional, but I wanted to have a little fun with it. Instead, I just kept it real and did what I normally do. I hope you found this informative. This should help some of you that are looking to build, especially if it's in a pre-existing structure. But even if it's not, if you're stuck trying to get that last foundation, it just won't go in, or you want to place a light in something, it won't go in. Those are some ways that you can do that. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, share it out with your friends, subscribe. For those who do continue to follow me after almost getting close to 7 years, I really appreciate you. You stay blessed, stay safe, and y'all have a blessed day out there.